Hello everyone. So let's talk about Xbox. So right now Xbox is transitioning through this restructuring phase and people have been laid off. A lot of people have been laid off or I guess going to be laid off and already companies have been dismantled. It is disappointing. And back in 2020 when the series was being promoted, I was like, okay, you guys got some really cool consoles. Don't mess it up. Play your cards correctly. And unfortunately, they've made some really silly mistakes. So starting off, I think purchasing a bunch of these gaming studios is a fantastic thing to do. They spend billions on these studios, by the way. Now, the problem is not utilizing them, and they only have like what, a handful of exclusives. It's like, come on guys, come on, seriously. You could have gotten these companies to pump up like 20 to 30 games by now, and all of them could have been exclusive. The next thing's, we're talking about exclusives. Why on earth are you putting your games on Sony? That was a stupid thing to do. They're so stingy, they would rarely part with a toenail. Okay, so why on earth are you doing that? That's ridiculous. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, you need exclusives. Consoles need exclusives. Yes, you can rely on brand recognition. People will be like, OMG, this is made by Microsoft. OMG, this is Xbox from back in the day. OMG, I must support it. But that builds a small bridge connecting to the series. And when it comes to nostalgia, it also builds a, you could say, somewhat sturdier bridge, but not that big. You need to rely on the present. You have to build the present. You need to create new IPs. You need to have a lot of originality and have diversity. And I'm not talking about your restrictive guidelines on what type of women to have in video games. I'm talking about diversity when it comes to gameplay. Okay, people like a lot of things. Some people like more types of gameplay. Some people are quite am I using the wrong words at this point? Guys, this is unscripted. Some people just would rather be, you could say, sticking with one gameplay and one type of genre, okay? Or you could say when it comes to stories, they may like something dark or something light. They may like something for teens, or I don't know, there's such complexity to it. And they could have made a lot of video games by this time. And that's the thing. They're relying so heavily on games that are super realistic. There's no problem with games having realistic graphics. The problem is that not every game needs to follow that. They lack style. Everything feels at times emotionless, guys. I have to use the right words. And what's the point of everything looking so dark and this is just for gaming in general, what's the point of everything looking so dark and everything being so textured? People have fancy TVs, but what's the point of having to see all that texture when you don't have color? You'd rather have something stylized that's kind of meant to look realistic. For example, a painting. There are plenty of paintings of forests out there. You can watch plenty of videos. And by the way, when you watch those videos, you realize that they don't paint every single leaf on the tree. Okay, they just paint a bunch of green and it looks like there's a forest. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't have to just add every single detail. It looks realistic. Okay? It's not the real thing. It looks that way, but it isn't. Style matters. It can look realistic, but doesn't mean it has to be 100% realistic. The characters don't have to even match certain proportions. Okay? I'm sorry, but when it comes to Xbox, the main ingredient that y'all needed was exclusives, and y'all really fumble that. And I've been wanting y'all to win. Y'all can't sell your console exclusives to Sony, or you can't become a third-party publisher. You can't do that. You have to stick with the console. You have to be the console. And well, looking at the sales, I remember like hearing about the sales of the series. It's not even charting, I think, which is so disappointing. It's like, guys, I'm so sad. I feel bad. I even feel bad making this video because I don't want to sound mean. But the truth is that, come on, you gotta make some fun stuff, and for a variety of audiences. And when I mean that, I mean gameplay wise, because let's be honest, most who buy consoles are guys, and that's the thing. It's like guys, they want to play a variety of things at times, or they have, you could say single taste, and they just want to play something that matches their taste. And right now, you see the stuff that comes out, from just gaming in general. It's not so fun, is it? People have lost interest because of stuff like this. Things are okay. By the way, this leads to the next part of the discussion. Things are so safe, and there's no problem with having things built from the root to be extremely safe. It's okay, but not everything has to be that way. There's a lack of edginess in these consoles, and you are selling them to mostly teen boys or adults. And then, man, you gotta have some edginess in it. Um, Anyways, tell me your thoughts on this. I just think, you know what, they can possibly change things around if they just focus on exclusives, and that's it, Just just stop trying to be something else. And I watched a bit of Eels versus Babyface video on what's going on with Xbox, and he pointed out that in the last console generation, they did not want to make the consoles about gaming. Sure, you can play games on it, but they marketed it as, a device that you can do anything with it. And sure, that's great and all. Sure, you can, watch movies on it and stuff, but that's not the primary feature. It's kind of like, selling a car, but because it has two cup holders, not because it can take you places. Anyways, tell me your thoughts on this. Anyways, bye bye.